Paulo Dimas, please, round of applause. Catarina Peiroteiro Salteiro, Marco Serrão, and Ricardo Batista Leite. Join us on stage. Thank you very much. Obrigado. Sim, sim, força. Força, força. Welcome. Bora. Boa.
So good afternoon to everyone. Let's see if it's working. Yeah? Yes. So good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. Such a full packed room, so it's a pleasure. I'm not introducing the panelists because we only have 30 minutes, so you can see the names and the roles. No, they will change. They will change. Don't worry. And so it's a pleasure to welcome you to this important conversation about responsible AI, as artificial intelligence is reshaping the industries, driving innovation, and refining the way that we work and the way that we live our lives. So, but as the AI systems, they become more powerful, the stakes become higher. And who ensures that they are fair, that they are ethical, that they are aligned with human values? These are some of the topics that we want to discuss today, and that we want to explore the role of ethics and also the bias and the accountability in the AI development and deployment. As I told you, I'm not introducing, but yeah, no, it's not changing. I need to introduce them. Okay, so I introduce them. So here, I have Paulo. Now here it is. So, okay, you can see them now. So we didn't align on the stage. So this is Paulo, and then Catarina, and then Marco, and finally Ricardo, okay? So, but you can point the names with the faces. So just to dive a little bit, deeper on this conversation, I would like to start to ask you a short understanding of how do you define responsible AI in your field of expertise and area. Paulo, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. Really excited to be here and on this audience. It's my first time on this event, but really excited. And yeah, so we try to define responsible AI in a very simple and easy to remember way. So we kind of define responsible AI in 3 pillars. So the first pillar that was mentioned in the keynote downstairs is about trusting AI, to have an AI that is trustworthy. And this is very much related with explainability. So we know that AI models are like black boxes, huge neural networks. We cannot peek into them and understand why they are predicting that someone has a certain disease. And so we need to understand why the AI is doing that prediction. And the second pillar is about fairness. So this is the one that people associate more with responsible AI. It is about not discriminating between people of different genders, different ages, different social status. We know there's a lot of models that are biased. We know that we live in a world that is dominated by data that is produced, namely in the US, and we suffer from that bias. And so we have to correct that. We have to really ensure that no one is going to be discriminated when that person goes to get some credit from the bank, just because of his social or her social status. And the final pillar is the pillar of sustainability. And this is one that is really urgent nowadays, because we know that AI, the energy that is being used for AI, has been growing exponentially. So we are really watching an arms race for energy. We have nuclear plants being built as we speak. And so we have to use energy in an efficient way. This is something that is also challenging from an economic perspective, because we cannot have an AI service like Sam Altman mentioned the other day, like the GPT Pro or something, that costs more to serve than people are paying for. And so there are 2 kind of motivations to have sustainable AI. One is the economic factor, and the other is just the environment. So these 3 pillars. So first, trust; second, fairness; and third, sustainability.
Yeah, perfect, Paulo. Thank you very much. Catarina.
So thank you so much for having me here, Building the Future, and for joining me in this amazing panel. I'm super excited for our conversation. And I have the very difficult task, after Paulo explained so well a definition, to add on top of it. But for a little bit of context, I work at Defined AI, and Defined AI is a data for AI company. So pretty much what we do is we provide the training data that trains the models from which the models learn. So we look at responsible AI from a perspective to address this concern that was raised and that is raised with the upcoming of AI and everyone talking about AI and using it, that answers this concern that business have. So we look at it because data is the crucial element when we're talking about AI. We're talking about the information that will determine if the model will be able to give a good and precise answer or not. It is the information that will allow the model to be biased or not. So in that sense, it's very important that when we are sourcing this data, when we are looking into this data, that we make sure that this data is ethically sourced. So to make sure that the data that we are getting, people know that the data they are inputting will be used to train AI, people are properly compensated, and it's also very important that we make sure that this data is compliant with the laws that exist, and that also doesn't include, for instance, copyrighted information that should not be in the data set. So in a nutshell, that's how we look into responsible AI here. It starts with the data, and for us, we go right in the beginning of AI, and that's what it's built upon. Obviously, we can expand this concept, as Paulo did already very well. We are focusing on the first step of AI, which is the training data.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Catarina. Marco, and
Hi. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So I don't work in an AI company. I work in an energy company, but my field is human resources. So I'll repeat some of the things that you guys already said. But there are three things that I think are really important, especially when you work in HR. The first one is bias. These models are very powerful. They're being used by a lot of people. And especially when you apply that to the world of HR, there are many risks if the model is biased. So for me, that's a clear concern, which comes with ethics, which is correlated with it. So the decisions we make in terms of recruitment, in terms of development, many other things, if you're using AI systems to enable that, those two things are important. And the third one is data privacy. This is not new. I mean, it's everywhere with social media. But it's also very important here because most of these systems are not created in Europe. The data is not hosted in Europe. So there are obvious concerns about how that data is being used, how that data is being monetized. So again, in the HR field, for me, that's a really important point because people should be in control of their data.
yeah, thank you very much for your view. And Ricardo,
Well, thank
responsible
you.
AI.
And good afternoon. Good afternoon?
Yeah.
No, thank you. We're always talking about AI this whole day. We kind of forget the human connection sometimes, and that should be the main driver of everything we do. And ultimately, that's what responsible AI should be about. And I'm really happy to have been invited. Such an amazing panel. And it's a really cool conference. I know it's cool when I'm the only guy wearing a tie in a room this size. And so I'm the old-fashioned kind of guy here. But, I run Health AI, which is the global agency for responsible AI and health, which is a nonprofit agency based in Geneva, working in the vertical of health, supporting governments, regulators, and all different partners and stakeholders in the ecosystem to address and build the governance systems to be able to ensure that they are accelerating in a responsible manner artificial intelligence for health. And so this has given me a privilege. We work with governments from Canada to Singapore, from Brazil to Zambia. And everywhere I go, when people ask us, we want to use AI, the first thing I ask them is, why do you want to use artificial intelligence in your system, in your government, and so forth, in your hospital, in your clinic? And the most common answer I get is because my boss is telling me I have to do something with AI. Or if you're in government, the minister now has woken up and thought that AI is the thing to do. This is wrong, okay? And I want to say this clearly. Artificial intelligence will not solve the problems of the world. People need to know where they want to go. We need leaders that have a vision of where they want to go, and technology will be the enabler that will get us there. Yeah. And this is extremely important in every single field. So leadership at every level, be it at government or at the business level, we need leaders who understand what are the outcomes, where do we want to go, and then the technology can help us get there. And so that takes us going, Paulo has summarized the principles. Translating that into health, we follow the principle of first do no harm. And it's important. As a physician myself, when I prescribe an antibiotic, or each of you, if you have a fever or a headache, you'll take a paracetamol, right?
Yeah.
You don't think twice if it's safe or it's not safe, you just do it. And one of the reasons we've reached that point of trusting that technology is because we know there's a regulator that has seen the effectiveness, the quality, the safety of that technology, and we know that if something goes wrong, there will be an adverse effect, an incident that is reported, and that technology is taken off the market. When we're talking about artificial intelligence in the vertical of health, you know, whoever's running the health system, those that are prescribing the technology, normally doctors or nurses, or when we're talking about the citizen, the patient who needs to use the technology, many times they are thinking in the back of their mind, can I truly trust this technology? So addressing the issue of responsible AI is building this trust. And if we're capable to solve this problem, this challenge, this is what is holding us back. The adoption of AI in healthcare is only 6%, and that includes the pharmaceutical industry. So we're basically not using AI at scale yet. But if we can solve the trust issue, that will help us accelerate the adoption at a systemic level and hopefully lead to improving health outcomes. So ultimately, responsible AI is making sure that the technology is designed and deployed and accessible equitably across the world so that it can reach the goals that we want to reach, which in the field of health should be moving away from a system that is focused on disease to one that actually improves health and well-being for all.
Yeah, I told you that I would like this to be a conversation, so won't you, Paulo, didn't you want to comment something about Virginia Digno? Because she was part of the UN group on, that is working on regulation of AI, and it's part of the effort that Ricardo just told us, no? Virginia, the Portuguese...
yes, exactly, about the United Nations initiative on that. Yeah, I'm a bit ambivalent about the United Nations initiative on that, because it seems so good and with such good principles, but we know how the world is nowadays from a geopolitical perspective. And I really, feel a bit frustrated about how, if it will not have any kind of consequences. But one of the things that, and we were talking about that at lunch, which was very interesting, is about making AI accessible for everyone. And one of the great initiatives of that initiative from the UN's AI High-Level Advisory Board, that now was renamed to something easier to remember, is to kind of make AI accessible by countries in the world that don't have the resources to train large language models. So one of the challenges that's very dear to us at NBabel and the Center for Responsible AI is about language and about preserving our languages. And countries in Africa, for example, run the risk of their languages not being represented on these large language models. And this is something that is really, really important for us, more developed countries to really support. And the United Nations created this fund, to support development of language technologies on these countries, to have LLMs that preserve the languages that are spoken on these countries, on this continent, in this case of Africa, which really run the risk of disappearing. This is really dramatic, and it creates a gap between the Western countries and other countries. So it's really something that we are very much committed into helping as much as we can to make this technology accessible. There's a big initiative by the Portuguese government on creating a large language model to preserve the Portuguese language. Why not extend that technology to those countries?
Yeah, you really explained also the Malia issue. But I would like to change now the question, Katrina, to if you can explain, because you have off the panel, time went already, is how is currently AI impacting your professional area, and if there is any challenges that you are facing in terms of ensuring that the systems are responsible and accountable.
So at Defined AI, we pretty much sell data to anyone that's building or fine-tuning a model. So our business, it's a great moment to be in our business. It was already 10 years ago when the business was founded, but right now we see the increased demand for data. So it's a really good space to be in. On my personal perspective, I'm a marketeer, I'm a communicator by profession, and I do public affairs as well. So that helps me. I use the tools as well. But having worked with AI and in the AI space for so long, it's almost 7 years now, I am very skeptical of the information that I get out of these systems. So I make sure that all the information that I put there, nothing is sensitive as well. And the outcomes that I get out of the systems, I also triple check them. Because I think that what we need to do right now as a society is to make sure that we are providing the digital and the AI literacy for the people to use these tools in the way that we are not easily fooled by the hallucinations, for example. Because it's very, very easy to believe in an hallucination from a ChatGPT or another LLM tool. So I think that right now, one of the challenges that I would see, not in my business specifically, but as a society as a whole, would be to foster this AI literacy, which will be crucial to make sure that we keep people critical of what we're seeing, that we make people aware that these tools exist, and that it will allow, for example, to spread disinformation and misinformation way faster than it would in the past. So that would be one of the concerns that I see as a society right now, amongst many others, but this would be the one that I would pinpoint.
Limitations of AR.
Exactly.
And Marco, in your daily life at Gulp?
So listen, there are multiple applications using a little bit of HR jargon. Across the employee journey, there are many things you can do from, CV screening, which we have a pilot for that. In the company, in terms of video interviewing, there's a lot of stuff you can do in terms of development and skilling. We have a pilot for that as well. We use data mining to understand what are the critical skills that should compose some of the functions. So there are many ways that you can use it. We use it on a chatbot as well. I mean, everybody has chatbots nowadays to interface with the employees in terms of the queries they might have. But as we're talking about concerns, I think this will only increase, and it will have much more impacts than it has right now. But for me, the thing that concerns me the most here, it's the potential dehumanization of work. When you work in HR, you have to believe people are the most important asset in any organization, and the combination of technology with hybrid work can create isolation, in my view. And you can have a lot of people just with a machine, interfacing with a machine, and I think that can have very bad implications for companies, as you have less collaboration, less willingness to interact with other people doing work together. So as an HR professional, I think there are many benefits. We have, I won't say the name, but we have one of the generative AI systems in usage at the company. I use it a lot, but I see the more you use it, the more you get somehow addicted to it. And when you think about the future, because we're just scratching the surface really of the potential, I can see a world where people dedicate more time to the machine than they dedicate to other people. And I think that's something we all should be concerned about, and it's something that defines not only an organization but society as a whole. And for me, that angle of work and kind of dehumanizing work, I think it's something that we need to manage. We need to be aware, and we need to make the best usage of the technology to serve people, and not the other way around.
Yeah. And Ricardo, what can you tell us about the impact of AI in your professional and the way that you work in the, what's the name of it? Sorry.
Health AI.
Yeah. How can you tell us about the efforts that is being made in terms of accountability, fairness, and responsible AI?
So very quickly to say, we are building a global regulatory network for health and AI. As I mentioned before, the absence of governance is slowing the adoption of technology and health systems. And so we're trying to support governments to build up the governance systems so that they can validate and quickly accelerate at a systemic level these technologies. Right now, what you see is a whole bunch of pilots in hospitals. It's kind of the Wild West out there right now. And putting some order in a system, creating pathways for the market, to access to market for businesses, and actually making sure that technology that does work, that does improve outcomes, is actually reaching the patients wherever they are, and that being born in Africa or in Latin America is not a lottery. That means that you are destined to fail. And so that technology can actually help leverage these countries to leapfrog to the future, but at the same time making sure that high-income countries are transforming their health systems, because right now, and we see this in Europe, our health systems are failing dramatically because they are based on the principles of fueling disease. We know the only thing that that actually pays off from an investment point of view in healthcare in the global north is disease. not health. And so transforming that is going to be critical. We are creating a global early warning system. So if in Singapore, in Zambia, or in Brazil, or in Switzerland, there is a report of a potential risk of AI, we are the ones raising the red flag to regulators to make sure that in real time we are able to intervene. Also good for companies to avoid legal liability and reputational risks, allowing them to fix the problems early on before causing harm at scale. And we're building a global repository of AI solutions that have been compliant with responsible AI. So as the regulators approve these technologies, they will appear on this global marketplace. So in a way, we're nudging the world towards adopting AI technologies that are compliant with these guidelines and standards when it comes to these principles. Finally, we've created a community of practice that any institution, be it a private sector, developer, or public sector, government or academia, or patient organization or NGO, can join our community and be part of this conversation. It's a very easy process. It's free of charge. Just go to our website at healthai.agency. That's my 20 seconds of advertisement there.
Yeah, no, perfect. But I would like you to explain to our audience what is the essence of Health AI. Is it an agency? Can you explain them briefly?
So Health AI is a non-profit agency that is funded mainly by governments and philanthropic institutions to help accelerate the adoption and scalability of AI technologies that comply with responsible AI principles for health systems around the world. And being a global agency, we kind of have a Robin Hood model where the richer countries where we work with also help fund the development of governance capabilities in low and middle income countries. It's a hell of a journey.
Yeah. So it's a voluntary initiative that governments can...
Yes, absolutely. Love to see Portugal part of that. I'm still praying as a Portuguese citizen myself.
Okay, so finally, because we are in our final moments, I would like you to ask in one word, if you would say, like to someone in the audience from different companies, what you consider it's the fundamental principle for responsible AI in the organizations. Starting with you, Paulo.
I'm so sorry because I'm going to say trust.
Yeah.
But I was the first, so
yes.
But trust.
Can I explain? Can we explain, or we just?
Yeah. You still have some moments. You can
accountability, because I think that responsible AI is about being accountable. Why we create AI, and we need to think if we do need AI for that problem or not. When we build AI, how we are building it, the data that we are using to do it, and how we are using AI. So we need to be accountable.
Yeah, it's connected. Both of you are connected. So
absolutely, we are all connected.
I was going to say trust, so you kind of stole my thunder. But I'm going to say two things. There's actually four words. So people first and digital second. For me, that's key.
Yeah, human-centered.
Yeah, I always have the hard job speaking live. But I'd say two words, which is improve lives. And so ultimately, I think that wherever you are in the value chain, right? Yeah. Be it in terms of conceptualization and development of a technology, if you're responsible for deploying the technology, if you're responsible for implementing it, you have to have measurable ways to see the impact your technology is having. And the idea of improving lives, be it in healthcare or in any other sector, has to be the ultimate gain and the ultimate goal that we want to achieve as a society. And I can tell you, improving lives is good for business.
Yeah,
so if we align the good principles with our business models, I think we can incentivize the system in the right direction. But since we still have some time, I just want to share an anecdote, if I may, about incentives, because it's very important. As I said, I was in Parliament for many years, so I know how badly policy can get. And bad policy can actually hurt lives. Yeah. But sometimes the good incentives can take us to the right place, but wrong incentives can take us in the wrong direction. And so the other day I was in a Zoom call with a guy, and he had his phone on a swing going back and forth. And it was distracting me, so I interrupted the meeting and I said, please explain to me, sorry, why do you have your phone on a swing? And he says, oh, it's because my insurance company gives me a premium if I do 10,000 steps a day. So we have to be careful how we put in the incentives into the system.
It's a good example, yeah. Yeah, so...
It's not going to get any healthier from that.
I think we are just in the last minute. I would like to share with you, and a good example also that Virginia Dignou said about the regulation. She said, not about the medicine, but I also heard about the children's toy. If if you want to give a children's toy, you have the confidence, the trust that the toy has been tested and you can give it to your children safely. Why don't you have the same trust if you want to give like a mobile with an AI assistant and you want to be sure that what you are giving to your children, it's also trustful. So it's a good example of the need of regulation and the way that we may counterbalance the gains and the dilemmas of using it. So thank you very much. I hope that you have enjoyed. And please feel free. We don't have time for questions from the audience, but all of them have LinkedIn, so you can contact them through LinkedIn and interact afterwards. Thank you. Thank you.